I'm Zainab Khan, your host, and I welcome you all to the podcast where we explore the incredible stories of those shaping young minds.
Absolutely, Zainab. Today we have a very remarkable guest, Ellie Burton, a school counselor with a unique blend of expertise in both finance and guiding young minds. With 7 years of experience at North Gwinnett High School, Miss Burton isn't just about college applications and conflicts. She's all about igniting sparks and watching them grow into blazing fires of passion.
Before diving into education, she spent time as a certified financial planner, mastering the art of numbers and ensuring financial harmony. When she's not changing lives in academia, you'll find her planning race schedules or hiking in nature, embracing life's adventures and pushing boundaries. Now let's welcome Miss Burton. Hi!
Hello, Miss Burton.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
Thank you for joining in. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
We are doing good. We are doing great. Thank you so much for asking.
You bring a wealth of experience and a diverse skill set to your role as a school counselor. Reflecting on your role, how do you approach helping students discover and pursue their passions and potential?
Sure. So that's a great question to start off with.
Thank you.
One of the things that I like to do is make sure that I'm establishing a rapport with students first. So it kind of goes by the old adage of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So even getting to know the student a little bit, I think is helpful and goes a long way. And also, teenagers can spot phonies really easily. So if I can get to know them and be authentic with them, chances are they're going to be authentic with me. So another thing that I do is leverage the tools that I have with me. So we have some great programs through our school system that help our students discover themselves. So we have some personality inventories. We have some career exploration tools that we like to leverage, and we can reference back to those when we're in our conversations together. Also, I like to get to know the students' hobbies and interests, and that way we can try to put together a blend of classes or talk through college or career plans that's going to be the best fit for the student.
Very nice. I have a question. Student counseling is not just confined to the universities, colleges, or as I said earlier, that resolving conflicts. So, in a broader spectrum or in a broader sense, what actually counseling is? Can you uh, elaborate on that?
Sure. So basically, what a school counselor does on a day to day basis, we operate in three domains. It's going to be academic planning, social and emotional learning, and then post secondary planning. And so we might spend all day in one of those three, or we might spend all day in different areas of those at different depths. So for the academic side, we might be meeting with students on how to craft their schedules for next school year. That's a big part of my job right now, helping students optimize their schedule for the next school year, whether it be a blend of AP classes and on-level classes here or dual enrollment classes or other opportunities that we have. For the social and emotional piece, it might be they're having a conflict with their parents and they need to talk to another trusted adult about it, or they're having trouble with a friend and they just need a listening ear. And then lastly, for the post-secondary planning, there's a whole array of options. So whether the student is going to be career ready, we can talk that through. There's programs actually at the high school level that can help students become career ready and go straight into the workforce. We can talk through military options, and then always the big one, which is college planning. And that just takes a little bit more time because there's a lot more steps to it than those others. But I can, like I said, I can spend my day in all of those or just one of those in particular. It really depends on the day.
Right.
Excellent.
So, how do you navigate the balance between encouraging dreams and managing realistic expectations?
That is a hard one. And so that's one where I like to put that back on the student. So I would like to ask them, hey, that's great that you are thinking about this. How are you working towards this? Tell me what you're doing to accomplish these goals. And we also, if there are any metrics or if there are any guidelines out there, let's say it's a particular university or a particular profession, is their professional website putting out credentials that the student might need? If the college has credentials, Are there certain courses the student needs to take here? So we try and explore that together and find out, are you on track? Are you heading in that direction? If you are, that's great. But if not, what are ways that you need to course correct? And are those course corrections realistic in the time frame that's allowed?
Very nice. As a guide for students' future paths, how do you address the evolving landscape of career opportunities and the impact of technological advancements?
Yeah, so we are so lucky to be in the state of Georgia because Georgia definitely is forward thinking as far as education goes. And so we have a great Department of Education that thinks through those things. What are classes that students are going to need to help be successful in the real world? And so we're able to, as a school system and as a school, pick and choose from those. So, for example, we have really worked hard over the past several years to build out our engineering pathway and our computer science pathway, because those are classes that not only do we know are in demand for job skills in the real world, but our students have been wanting them too. And we're also excited that we've been starting to build out our healthcare science pathway as well. So we started this year with Intro to Healthcare Science. We're going to add Essentials of Healthcare. So again, we have a lot of students who are gravitating to the medical field, and we feel like we're able to meet needs in those ways and get students exposure. We want to make sure that students get exposure now so that they're not maybe wasting time and money in college. They can find out by taking an elective course here, hey, I really like this. This is something that I'm really gravitating towards. Or, you know what? I took that in 11th grade and I never have to worry about it again. That was not the right thing for me. If,
Right.
if we don't have pathways that fit here, we have opportunities through dual enrollment where we can pair a student with other opportunities. So, for example, I had a student who was very interested in welding, and I was able to help him look at options at one of our partner dual enrollment schools, and he was able to get a good opportunity this school year.
Very nice. Have you come across any of the difficult student like who had a dilemma of not sure where he wants to be, and how did you tackle that situation, a particular situation?
Yeah, and it's really hard when you're a young person trying to figure out exactly what to do. And the good thing that I tell them is that, that's a moving target. And the best thing is to get to assess your strengths and weaknesses and find out where your passions and hobbies are too, and try and blend those together. And again, we go back to those career assessments, we go back to those strengths inventories that we do. And I also encourage that student to try and get a part time job if their family allows, because exposure to the world of work is a great way to figure out what your future
Absolutely.
looks like. So you can find out, I like working with people, I like a flexible schedule, or I'm more of a Monday through Friday kind of person, or I'm a behind the scenes person. I really like working in the stock room. So, really getting that student that exposure, if they're able to, I think can help make the real world and the working world seem like more of a reality for them.
Right. Do you have any like aptitude testing design program where you can like get to know where the student's aptitude lies, or is there any format for you, you offer?
Yes, so we actually have a program that our county purchased for us that has a whole array of strengths explorers, career assessments, personality inventories. And as we go into the classrooms as counselors, we have the students take those on a year by year basis. So they do certain things in ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, so that they can get exposure and know more about themselves. Also, we have another test that we have a third party come in and do called the ASVAB, and that is a much more in-depth profile where the student can look and see what their career aptitudes are as well. And we offer that every year. We encourage students to take that. So with a blend of all of those things, we hope that students can get a good reflection of who they are. And also with some of those assessments, they talk about how their strengths and skills translate optimally into the workforce and what that could look like. So we are definitely there to help students go through those results. And we often encourage students to look at them, talk with their parents about them, and reflect on them as they are trying to figure out their future plans.
So some students have like a particular passion, but due to societal pressures and expectations, they're not able to pursue it. So how do you deal with those kind of students?
Right. So that can be difficult where you feel like something's kind of holding you down. And so I kind of guide students to, think about who their authentic self is. And I actually have a quote on my desk from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and this is from the 1800s, but it still rings true today. He says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. So, looking at who you are authentically, and is there a way for those traits within you and who you are to fit into what you're looking to do. And so you think about the trailblazers in our society, like the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates, like they didn't necessarily fit into, neatly into a round hole. Like it was a square peg in a round hole situation. And they were able to go and do some really great things. So really think back to, who you are and how can you make yourself shine.
Would you like to share any inspiring stories of student success or resilience that you witnessed recently?
Sure. So, just kind of over the years, I didn't have one specific instance, but over the years, I've had a handful of students who have really come in with just some difficult home situations or housing situations where they may have had housing insecurity. And they were able to really just dig down deep. They had a team of support, whether it was here at school or out, outside the walls of school, or a combination thereof, where they can lean on those folks and really um, dug deep and found hope that their situation would get better. And then they were able to graduate and move on to their next phase of life. And I think that is what really propelled them to take the opportunities now in high school to help make their future more of a success. They weren't necessarily wallowing in their situations or throwing a pity party, but they look to see that I'm going through a challenging time, but there is hope for that. And that is very inspiring.
Awesome. In your experience, what role does self discovery and personal development play in helping students make informed decisions about their futures? Since, like, for example, when I was growing up, there were like limited options for a career. I mean, I'm not that old, but still, like during my time when we were growing up, we had very limited options. So now students have like hundreds of options. So is it like difficult for them to choose, or is your job more difficult now?
Yeah. So, that really is the catch 22, right? It's like now we
Yeah.
have options. And in the past, everybody was hoping for more options, but now it's like optionitis almost, where, the world's your oyster. And if you've done a good job, building a good transcript and building a good high school resume to present to colleges, it almost is like I have too much to think about, too much to explore. But that's where, again, we try and bring the student back to, let's think about your skills, hobbies, and interests. Let's think about your innate strengths. Let's go back to what we're seeing in those career assessments and in those strengths inventories, so that we're trying to, point you in the right direction. And we're not, again, kind of talking about those unrealistic career goals earlier. We're trying to shoot for what could be successful and what could be realistic. So I'm really just trying to help those students discover who they are. Also, we are so lucky at our school to have so many clubs and activities where, if in academia they can't pursue a passion or a strength there, they can find a strength maybe in our after school activities or our clubs. And so that's where we really encourage that depth as well.
Wow. There's a very important question here. Are there common misconceptions about your role as a counselor? Like, how do you address them in order to best support students? Because, as I said earlier, that people think that student counseling is only about recommending colleges and universities or resolving the conflicts. So, how do you best support your students?
Sure. So, one thing we do is when we go into the classroom, and we go into the classroom multiple times a year, we're so lucky that our teachers are flexible and allow us to do that. But we always try and review what a school counselor does and what our role is. And so we talk to them about, we're here for more than just college planning. We're here to talk about your day to day schedule. We're here to just be a trusted adult if you need someone to talk to and you don't feel like you have anyone right now. And of course, we're here for that after high school planning as well. I really see the biggest misconception is maybe from people who really from parents where they may have only had one interaction with a high school counselor years ago where they may have gone over like a career assessment that they did, or they just brought them in the office and said, hey, you're on track for graduation. That's great. And
Right.
really for us, the profession has grown over the years, and we get more face time with the students. We have more responsibilities. There's never a dull day or a dull moment in school counseling because we have so much to do and so much ground to cover.
Very nice.
Given the disruptions caused by COVID-19, how has the role of the guidance counselor evolved and what new challenges do you face?
Mhm. So COVID-19 really threw all of us for a big loop, but coming out of it, we really found that students needed additional social and emotional support. Because remember, students were home not with their peers anymore, but with their families, and not necessarily getting meeting those developmental markers as far as student interactions, knowing how to handle certain types of peer conflict, learning how to handle certain types of peer pressure. And so when students came back into the building and when things were more normalized, we were really seeing a lag in maturity in students, and things that we expected were middle school behaviors we were seeing at the high school. So really just being patient, listening to the students, working with them, trying to help them think through, and ultimately just giving it time has helped students readjust. We are seeing not necessarily things all the way back to normal with student behaviors, but we've definitely seen a great improvement as time has gone by.
Right. Considering the increased focus on remote work and digital skills, how do you help students prepare for a workforce that continues to undergo significant changes since the technology is rapidly changing in the world?
Mhm. So, one thing I am thankful for is we do have student Chromebooks where students do get exposed to technology on a one to one basis. And so, students are learning how to work digitally, send in assignments remotely, and also with students and just remote workforce in general, any type of exposure they can get to the world of work. Whether it's digitally or in person, I think is helpful because businesses run on efficiency. And they're going to be some of the first ones to implement new technology to make themselves more efficient. So, like we talked about before, any exposure that students can get to the world of work, even if it's working at the drive through at their local fast food restaurant, they're going to be working a cash register, which is technology. They might be operating an ordering system. And so, even those little bits and pieces of technology, I think, are helpful to just put in those students' hands.
How do you think the role of guidance counselor will evolve in the near future?
I think that's a great question. And it's always good to be forward thinking, especially in your profession. But I continue to see just a focus on mental health for our students. That's something that just with social media and with so much going on in society, they just need that additional support and that additional listening ear. And I know everyone on our team is super happy to be just patient with students and a trusted adult for students when they just need someone to talk to.
Before we wrap up, would you like to share any piece of advice for students and parents?
Sure. So the counseling office is a great host of resources. So if you can get to know your school counselor as soon as possible as high school starts, that's only going to be to your benefit because they can help guide you through that career planning that we talked about, that academic planning and college planning. And the more that they know you, the better that they can help suggest options. So definitely don't delay in visiting your school counselor.
Right. Okay, before we come to the end, one last question is what is lacking in the educational system and what do you think should be changed?
Mhm. You know, the hard part about public education is that it's a one size fits all. We're trying to figure out how to meet the needs of a large diverse group of students. And so I think it's a best efforts. I wish that we could tailor everything individually as best we could to students, but I think we're doing the best job we possibly can. So, if I had my wish list, it would just be to help students be more individualized. But again, we're doing the best we can with trying to work with everybody.
Very nice.
As our conversation comes to a close, a heartfelt thank to Miss Burton for joining in today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much for taking your time out. I know you're always very busy. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.